Hello, hello. We are live in week 14, the first week of the playoffs, divisional matchups. I'm pleased to be joined by Mike Bertolozzi, owner of Sasha's Stash. Mike, how are you?
Dave, what's going on, bud? How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you so much for joining. Josh has a headache or is not feeling well, so he's not going to be able to join us. But we will march on and have a little preview of last week or postmortem of last week and a preview of this week. And it works out well because we actually match up this week. So should be fun.
Good.
All right. So let's kind of take a quick snapshot of last week. Me and Josh, I don't know, maybe other people were on the text, but we were talking about there were some things that could have broken different ways on who could have actually – there was a chance actually you were not going to make the playoffs if things fell a certain way. So how worried were you on Sunday/Monday this week?
Yeah, I was concerned. I think I forgot actually about the Nates. So Josh reminded me that over a text. I wasn't too focused on them, so I think that was – and then when I saw that they had a chance, I was like, "Oh shit, that sucks. They're gonna knock me out." Because I know I had, I was in pretty good shape with the Maulers, and then at that point, yeah. So I mean. I don't know. I was concerned. I was slightly concerned, but I think Stiff Arm was the other team too, right? So they had a.
No, it was actually Micro Penis. That was actually
Micro Penis. I'm sorry, Micro Penis. Right. So other things could have broken where I wouldn't have made it, but yeah, forgetting about the that was locked down. Then I was pretty much in the clear. So.
Yeah, I mean, you brought that up, so I'll just say it. The Nates probably had one of the toughest years as far as scheduling gods because I didn't do it previous to the podcast, but I know they were tough luck loser multiple times, and this week was no different. They had 137 points and lost to Mr. Minor, who scored 160. They would have beat 8 of the other 10 teams this week, and had they won this week, because of their point total, their total points, they would have gotten in basically with a loss by you or the Jugs. And yep. The Jugs did lose, but the Nates lost as well. So it didn't end up mattering. But again, tough year for the Nates as far as having a great team, having some tough losses through the year. But again, they're set up pretty well. If we let's look at that matchup first. I don't know if you have the site pulled up, but that Minor, we're going to get into Minor in a second because obviously they're a team we need to talk about pretty substantially here. But the Nates throwing up the 137. I mean, pretty solid performances all around. Definitely a team that's set up for the future. I think they have a good core. I think they have some good assets.
Sure.
Unfortunately for them, finishing just out of the playoffs, they're only going to have the 6th pick, I believe, in the draft. So that isn't the best. But knowing Jonathan, he's going to wheel and deal and try to probably improve that pick if I have any guess. So, again, tough luck for the Nates. I would say they were probably the tough luck loser more than anyone this year. We can throw some stats post-mortem after the season, but from my memory, I remember them losing. I know they lost to me by not that much, and I know they lost a few other weeks scoring a lot of points. So I think they have a good base. I think they're ready to be consistent and be good going forward, but this year just didn't work out.
Well, look at this young talent. I mean, Fournette, Gurley, Josh Gordon, they just got back. It didn't help him this year, but certainly he should be real good keeper for next year. Marlon Mack, Corey Davis,
Hopkins, Jeffrey. Let's not forget about them. I mean,
sure. So I mean, this team is, it's pretty stacked. Certainly going to look a lot better at the beginning of next season with Josh Gordon, assuming he's he's going to be a force next year, which I think he will be. The only old guy they really got, but who's playing good down the stretch here is Marshawn Lynch. Other than that, it's a pretty young team too. They may need to look at the quarterback position. Maybe Stafford. That combination isn't the answer. Although, no complaints about Stafford. I think generally speaking.
And Newton, now that he's running again, all of a sudden becomes very valuable as well. So
yeah, he's playing.
I think this team is poised for a run next year.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously, a good draft, and Jonathan's always active on the waiver wire. So yeah, I see this team as a top 4 team next year. I mean, I'm not going to rank next year yet, but I can't imagine this team not being in the top half of the league, if not the very top of the league, as far as going into next season.
Right, Sammy Watkins on the bench. We forgot about him.
Yep.
Tyler Eifert, good tight end. He's had a hard time staying healthy, but he's real good as well. So yeah, there's a ton of talent there. I think the biggest piece, and the biggest piece for them that's on the bench right now is Josh Gordon, because he could be a wrecking ball next year.
Yeah. Okay, I agree. On the other side of the slate, we have to talk about Mr. Miner, because this team right now, the way I look at it, I kind of looked at the standings. I kind of looked at the teams. This team has to, I think, even though he's the number 2 seed, I think he's the favorite right now on paper. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think the combination, look at this, 160 points this week with only 9 plus out of Brady, out of the quarterback position.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point. I didn't even notice that until you just said it. That's incredible.
So, 1, 2, 3 guy, 4. Well, yeah. I'm sorry, 4 in the 20s, and then Ingram had 19. So there's no weaknesses. Drake has come on. AJ Green and Keenan Allen. That's a force to be reckoned with, and certainly Kamara's been the best running back in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only you could quibble around the edges.
One weakness is the number 2 running back, because Coleman, when Freeman's back, is back. Coleman obviously doesn't have as much value.
Yeah.
But Brady, Kamara, the Green-Allen combination, especially now with the 0.5 PPR. Ingram, that trade, we talked about it. I don't know if you were on that pod or Josh and I, but we don't know why the hell Josh gave away Ingram. That was a ridiculous.
No,
and Kenyon Drake, now that Damian Williams is out, now he's the lead back, all of a sudden another sick piece that fits right into that flex. So maybe Drake is his number 2. So then we have to talk about flex. So basically he has Ted Ginn, who I don't love, but let's see who he has on his bench here. He's got
how about David Johnson on IR?
Well, I said that in a few podcasts. If he had David Johnson this year for the full year, honestly, I don't even know if he would have lost a game the way his team ended up turning out. And if I don't think he's coming back. I haven't heard boo that he is coming back, but if for some reason he comes back for the championship game, I
think Arizona,
are they smart enough? Are they smart enough to keep him out there?
No, I think they're smart enough that.
Do they still have a chance? I guess is the question. I don't think they do. In the AFC is a disaster, but the NFC is more kind of set, right?
Well, let's take a look here. They're mathematically in it, I think, but not realistically.
I know, but if they're mathematically, there is a chance somehow he comes back. So, again, I agree. Let's say that's probably a 5% chance, so let's not even count it. But if they had him, this not only would they be a juggernaut this year, but this team is young, with the exception of Brady, who said he's going to play for another 5 years, is young and talented. So I think he's the favorite going into this year, the playoffs. And if I'm ranking next year between youth and talent, and again, I'm not sure I love his bench. There's still weaknesses there, but he could fill that out, obviously, with the draft and waivers next year. But this team is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. No, the bench isn't I mean, yeah, David Johnson is on there on IR. The bench is not, spectacular after that. I mean, he's got some dregs on here for sure. Javaris Allen, Charles Clay, Alan Hearns. Well, he's got Will Fuller. And certainly Gillislee was a big disappointment.
I don't understand the whole Gillislee thing. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But
so there's a lot of junk on this bench, but just the fact that you have David Johnson lurking there as well, is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if you have next year, Brady,
Arizona's actually 5-7.
Brady, Kabara, Johnson, AJ Green, Keenan Allen, Ingram, and then whoever you throw in the flat. I mean, that is a core of all core. Like, that is sick.
Yeah. So.
All right. So we hit on that game because I don't want to keep this going crazy long, but let's do another a playoff team, but not playing this week. And I want to talk about them is YEM. So let's go on that YEM Sharks game.
Okay.
And just take a little quick look at that. And again, we've talked about the Sharks enough. Dumpster fire. I don't know what the hell Josh did. He went too far as I was concerned for the trades. I don't want to go.
That team just looks. I mean, it looks great. Good for Josh. I mean, that is like he set out on a mission, man, and it seemed like every day there was another trade coming through.
But again, he better hit the draft very well. Otherwise, I already told him, and I think you agreed. I'm not sure. We were talking on the past Sunday when we all hung out. I think he's on a 3 to 5 year plan. He's saying he's on a 1 to 2 year plan. I don't see it.
No, it's 2 years plus.
So you're giving him 2. I'm saying minimum 3.
No, I mean,
but again, he has to hit if he hits the draft well, to his point, and he's saying it's a good draft as far as running backs and wide receivers, and he's done his research. So I'm going to give Josh the benefit of the doubt right now. But on paper, this is one of the worst teams I've ever seen roster-wise at this point. Yes, he has all those draft picks, but this is the worst team I've ever seen in our league.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's the worst team I've ever seen in a fantasy football lineup. Yes.
I mean, I think this is one of his highest outputs. I didn't go back and get through the scores, but 76.82, I believe, is one of his highest outputs for the year.
Yeah, and it's stunning to even think how he could come up with even 76 points. But I guess all that does add up to 76. But man, Njoku 15, okay.
Titans the defense gave him 10, and so he's not quitting because he has been picking up kickers and defenses. So I do credit Josh that with his. I mean, he's the commissioner of the league. He helps obviously run this podcast. He follows the rules, and he did this teardown, like you said. I think he went too far, but we can all question how people do their stuff. But he's also putting out a lineup. He is putting his at least best team. Whether his best team sucks is another story. But he's picking up defenses. Like he's not like really trying to like.
No, and you hear stories about either from other leagues or not this league and not other leagues I play in because people are engaged, right? So it's all about engagement and. Josh has stayed, engaged with the process, and
he's locked into his He has he definitely has a plan of attack. Whether we agree with it or not, he has a plan. And again, he's following. He's not breaking any rule in any way. To be honest with you, like I said, he's picking up kickers and defenses each week to make sure that he's not starting like Miami or someone like ridiculous.
Well, that's why dynasty leagues or keeper leagues are so much better because you can be 0-13 and still have an opportunity to figure out, all right, who am I going to draft next year and what draft picks am I getting, and and who are the guys that I want to build my team around.
So you're big into obviously you're in our dynasty, but you also have a keeper. Is Saquon Barkley the no-brainer number one, or
I think so.
Okay.
Right now, but a lot could change between
does it depend on where he goes?
No, I don't think so. I think no matter where he goes, he's going to be the number one.
Okay, that's fair. And again, I just wanted to hear your opinion because I know you do a lot of research. You have your other keeper leagues, so I know that you're well versed.
That I don't watch college football because unless it's like Syracuse or I'll tape a Syracuse game or maybe I'll watch the bowl championship playoffs, but I don't sit down. I don't tend to be around on Saturdays. We're out doing stuff, and Sunday is the day that I'm going to be sitting down and watching football. And
that's fair. You can't miss Saturday and Sunday. There's no way. So
yeah. So my point is, I don't know. Nick Chubb, I know from Georgia. I got another email from somebody today about a couple other guys.
Who's the other guy that's up for Heisman? Because I was amazed Barkley's actually not up for the Heisman.
Is it the guy from Notre Dame?
No, I want to say it's. Oh man, I'm not even going to embarrass myself. I don't remember. I guess I am going to embarrass myself because I don't remember. Anyway, let's move on to YM because I really want to hit on them because they were the number one seed at 11-2. Very good team, very good team. But I kind of want to break this down because I've noticed, I'm all in on Minor. I'm not sure I'm all in on YM. I want to know your thoughts.
I think YEM's a good team, but they, they have a lot of gaps.
Yeah, the flex. Let's look at the flex right there.
Well, not only that, but Brandon Cooks, he hasn't really been putting up big numbers. Jimmy Graham is great at tight end. Jordy Nelson.
And that was a trade. Was that a trade? I believe he got Graham this year, I think, from Josh, didn't he?
He did. I don't remember what the trade was exactly, but Jordy Nelson has sucked since Aaron Rodgers went down.
Jordy Nelson has been atrocious.
Yeah,
5 catches for 17 yards. Are you kidding me?
McKinnon's been a nice surprise for sure.
But wait, is 5 catches for 17 yards even possible? I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah. So this team is, they don't have. I can't understand why Alfred Morris wasn't in the lineup, but anyway.
That was puzzling. That was puzzling to me. Curse, I can understand maybe not being in, but maybe he'll be in for his playoff lineup. You never know. But the Alfred Morris, I don't understand that one as well. He won anyway. He was playing Josh, so it didn't really matter. Yeah. So, but this is I think the weakest 1 seed we've had in years. Do you agree with that or not?
Yes, I do. So
that was kind of the point I wanted to make. That I think this is the weakest 1 seed, and no offense to Pat, I think his team is good, but I think it's the weakest 1 seed we've had in our little run here of PKFL. I mean, he's 11-2, so he's gotten the wins, but I don't think this is the strongest 1 seed we've ever had.
No, the strongest 1 seed we ever had was your team, whatever that was, 2 years ago. I say the best team I had ever seen, just like Josh is the worst team I've ever seen.
And my team lost in the quarter or the division round, so it didn't really help me very much.
But anyway, Ezekiel Elliott has that's got to hurt him. But yeah, Alfred Morris I think is going to be back in the lineup this week. Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins, no issues there. So I mean, this is a good team. They're rock solid now.
And I will say Hilton got hurt with Luck out. So, I mean, that kind of hurt him. I mean, I still don't know how he's not in the flex, like to your point. I don't know how Paul Richardson's in the flex and T.Y. Hilton's on the bench this week. Again, it's this week only that we're looking at. But if you put Morris and Hilton in and take Richardson and even Nelson out. I mean, he's scoring another 20 points or more than that.
Nelson is almost unplayable right now, really.
I agree. And how is he, like low 30s? What is his age?
He's no, he's a little older than that. He's like 32, I want to say. Hold on, I look it up here, but I think he's like 32.
So yeah, I mean,
he's 32.
So yeah, I mean, he's definitely, again, with Rodgers, obviously it just changes him, but I don't know how much gas he has left in the tank. Even with Rodgers, I mean, I shouldn't say that. With Rodgers, I think Nelson is still probably a top 15 wide receiver. Without him, you see he's like a top 50 wide receiver.
I think you count on one more good year if he has Rodgers, and that's pretty much it. You know, this guy has been banged up in his career. I think that's kind of it. You know, then you're gonna see on the downslope.
One other thing I just noticed flipping through his thing, so I have to give it to Pat. Ezekiel Elliott is suspended, so that I completely forgot to talk. We both forgot to talk about that. So
I brought it up.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry, I missed it, Berto. I missed it. I didn't hear you say it. So that's obviously a big. So
that's what I was saying.
Doesn't get him back. He wouldn't get him back until the finals, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So he would have to win next week against good opponents. So I don't know. I have to look for the playoff matchups, but he is too. So he has to fit. I believe he has to meet Minor and whatever Minor's opponent would be, which I think is Jasshole against who's Jasshole playing this week? Jasshole is playing. Damn it. We'll see it in a second. But Jasshole's playing. I think he's in the bracket where he gets Minor against the Jasshole, whoever Jasshole's playing winner.
Hold on, I'll pull it up here.
Yeah, why can't I? Why am I not pulling that up?
Yeah, so they're gonna play. They're gonna play either me or you.
Oh, because he's in the first seed. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So actually, after all we've talked about, to be honest with you, getting him in week 15 is like he doesn't have Elliott yet. So obviously, we both want to win our matchup. If we win our matchup, I think I'd rather face him than Minor, to be honest with you.
Yes, I agree with that.
All right. So actually, okay, good. It even makes me feel better. We both have to want to win our matchup, and then we're in good shape.
So we don't reseed, right?
Oh boy, now you're going to call me out on rules. I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Because then if the Jugs win, then we would play Minor. But if Jasshole wins and they're favored, then
all right. You brought it up, so you're gonna have to give me a second. I'm gonna look it up. Let's go into what's the next matchup that we should. I want to get you started talking about the next matchup, and I'm gonna look that up while you're doing it. So let me look up. Hold on, give me 1 second here. What matchup should we talk about next? I kind of want to focus on the playoff team. So the next matchup from last week I want to talk about is unfortunately, yeah. So we'll go on my team, my matchup, but I want you more to talk about Jasshole because we're going to talk about me and you when we get to me and you. So go to the Jasshole me from last week. Yeah. Obviously, I won, but I really want you to talk more about Jasshole. All right?
Sure. So look, I mean, Jasshole. You know, what can you say about this team? To me. This is a complete team. Now, they got a couple issues. So Zach Ertz could be an issue. Looks like he's going to be out. So that's a bit of an issue for Cody.
Is it as big of an issue as me fucking having Gronk be a fucking idiot and getting suspended for a game? Or
no, it's not as big of an issue as that. And Mike Thomas. Haven't had like spectacular years. They've been okay, but not great. But also, you know, is Jasshole as strong as they once were? Because, you know, Kareem Hunt is not, you know, the MVP candidate, Rookie of the Year guy anymore. So they're taking a little bit of hit on Kareem Hunt.
All right, I confirmed we do reseed.
All right. So
if the Jugs do win, the winner of our game would have to face Miners. So God, I hope that doesn't happen.
So
selfishly.
So to sum up, Jassel, I mean, they've had a great season. They've been they've been a really complete team, but there's chinks in the armor right now. And I think it starts with Kareem Hunt. It starts with Kareem Hunt.
Wait, I want to get your opinion on this. You obviously follow fantasy football. You're one of the people I go to for advice and stuff. Is it Andy Reid? Is it what the hell has happened to Kareem Hunt? Because he lit the world on fire for the first 6 weeks, the same way the Chiefs did, basically.
Yeah.
And now he's been garbage. Like, they don't give him the ball.
I think that's it. The guy's healthy, so I think it's just a matter of he has not been getting the ball. And that's squarely on that's on the coaching staff. There's no reason for that. They did put up a lot of points, and Alex Smith looked great. Well, not great. I mean, he looked real good. Tyreek Hill looked good on Sunday. So they put up points, but they weren't feeding Kareem Hunt the ball, and I think they've also been down in a couple of games, so they've been throwing a lot more. It's just the coaching staff not giving him the ball. I think it was him hitting the rookie wall or anything like that.
How do you make that mistake? Like, it doesn't even make sense to me, because you're giving the ball 20 to 25 times a week, first 5 weeks, and you're winning. What in your brain says, now we're going to make Alex Smith throw it 50 times a game? Like, and Alex Smith didn't do well even in those games. That's the funny part. He didn't even do great in those games. So I don't understand
I think it's just a trap, maybe, of the defense not playing as well as it had been. Because if you look at the beginning of the season, the Chiefs' defense was definitely playing a lot better. So that gave Kareem Hunt more opportunities.
But he catches the ball. So even if you're coming from behind and you're throwing the ball, dump it off to Kareem Hunt. Everyone else in the NFL. Use Kamara as the example.
Yeah. No.
Andy Reid should watch New Orleans film and just watch how they're getting Kamara the ball, and he say, we're going to get Hunt the ball the same way.
Yes. So whatever they were doing at the beginning of the season, they got off of that track. They haven't gotten back on it. It's not
line injuries,
hitting rookie wall or anything like that. They're not following the script that they should be. Now maybe what's going to happen is they're going to figure it out the next few games here, because they're in a playoff race, and they can still win the division.
They're still tied for the division. You're absolutely right. They're 6-6 tied for the division. So
so I'm sure they're hearing it loud and clear about how do we get the ball to Kareem Hunt. And you know what? Maybe he is going to be a little bit fresher towards the end of the season here, because he hasn't logged as many carries. But to me, it's a mistake, because this guy was on a tear, and they just seemed to go away from him.
Yeah, Berto, I think you're saying it very well. But overall, I think we're both in agreement. This team, to be honest with you, I rank this team, if we're ranking the teams, the playoff teams, I'm ranking Jasshole ahead of YEM. I'm saying Minor, Jasshole, YEM as the top three. And I don't even think there's I'm sure you're going to debate me, but I don't even think there's a debate on those top three.
Say it again, YEM?
No. The top three, maybe I said it wrong. The top three for me are Minor, Jasshole, YEM are the top three seeds. Whether they're the 3 seeds or not, that's who I rank as the top 3 teams that are in the playoffs.
Yeah,
forget seeds. The best teams, I'm ranking what I think the best teams are right now and how they're playing and how they're set up. I'm saying Minor, Jasshole, YEM.
Yeah, I would.
again, it's up for debate. It's a gut call, and again, it's you give YEM Ezekiel Elliott this next week, and I probably change that, but he doesn't have him next week, so he's going to face a tough opponent. It's going to be probably the winner of us, or he's going to have to face the Jug. If the Jug somehow upset, he'll probably get the Jugs, but I think we both said it. We would feel more comfortable facing him than Jassel or Minor, I think.
Yeah. Let's go to the Jugs. You want to talk about the Jugs?
Yep, that was where I was going to go next. That's right. So let's go to the Jugs. Last week they lost, tough loss, sneaking into the playoffs because they had a winning record. So they still snuck in and they had some points. I do want to hit on the Lamaka we'll talk about them briefly just because they did beat the Jug. So I do want to mention them. Bortles had a great game. Robbie Anderson looks like a solid guy. I think he's a good player, good young player with speed, and he doesn't just catch the long ball. He seems to catch passes, so I kind of like him a lot. What are your thoughts on Robbie Anderson?
Game this week, I mean, he
had caught a touchdown in 6 straight games, didn't get one here, and still got 17 points. So I mean, he's putting up points every week.
And still got over 100 yards. It's impressive. He's looked real good for sure.
I have liked Sanu. I think he's a solid player. He didn't have a great week. I like Hooper as a tight end. I still think
Hooper hasn't done a lot. He looked good in the beginning of the season, and he's been on a downtrend for a while.
Okay, so that's good. So but going forward, do you think Hooper is a solid somebody they can lock in as their tight end, or are they searching for a tight end?
No, I think they're going to be searching. I mean, this guy, started off great in the beginning of the season. He had a 60-yard touchdown week 1. But after that, I mean, he hasn't done a hell of a lot. So I think
you're right. Another guy that I personally know that I went after, and I heard through the grapevine that you went after, is Derrick Henry. I think he's taken over that job in Tennessee, and they've realized that he's just the more explosive and the more consistent back over DeMarco Murray. So I think they have a great, great guy there. I wish I was trying to steal him. I think you were trying to steal him too. They didn't give him up.
No,
am I correct? Am I correct with that? Or
yes, I sent multiple trade offers about Derrick Henry, and they weren't going to trade him, and that makes total sense. They shouldn't have traded him, but
I was trying to tell them every reason why they should, and they were absolutely right to hold on to him. So
I dangled the number 1. I dangled a couple of number 2. Whatever it took to get him, but it wasn't going to happen, and they shouldn't have traded him. So they made the right play.
It's funny though, and again, I think it's a learning lesson maybe for some other owners. Go after these guys when Derrick Henry was doing diddly squat when we were trying to make those offers, and these guys were smart. Adam and Joe were smart. They're like, no, we're not going to move him. We know he's good. F you guys. You're trying to rob us. And they turned down the offer. We were giving good offer. It wasn't shit offers, but it probably wasn't full value. And we were trying to buy low, and they weren't buying it. So I think they did the right thing.
And you can't replace a guy like Derrick Henry in the draft, with the picks that we're going to have, probably going to be in the playoff, so it didn't make any sense for them.
So the rest of this team, I like McCaffrey, especially in our 0.5 PPR format. I really like McCaffrey. So I think this team, and we look at the bench, they got some good players on the bench. We like Hogan. You already talked about you're being pissed off that you dropped him during the draft. You didn't know Edelman was obviously going to get hurt. Aguilar has looked good, especially in our 0.5 PPR format. And they have Beckham obviously on the RR. So, I think this team is poised to be making a run. I don't think it's a run at a title, but I think they could be making a run at the playoffs. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. You look at Deshaun Watson was lighting it up. You didn't mention him, but so they got their quarterback set.
I forgot about Deshaun Watson. Absolutely, yeah.
Beckham is a superstar. So they got a bunch of pieces. Chris Hogan, he's been injured and he hasn't probably lived up to his expectations. After about week, he was great up until about week 7 or 8, and I had this guy on my team and then I dropped him and tried to get him back. That was annoying, but
so this team,
this is the guy I also made a trade offer for, and I was close on something with Adam, but it didn't actually happen. And he's kind of tanked, but hopefully he can come back as well for them. So I mean, just having 2 guys like Deshaun Watson and Beckham on IR is a huge, is a huge hit. But certainly those guys come back healthy, they're going to be studs next year.
So yeah, really looking at this team though, I think they're set at, like you said, quarterback. I think they're set at wide receiver. I think it's the second running back, because Crowell, I like him more in the flex. Well, no, I guess they have Henry, so maybe I'll move Henry up there. I don't love Crowell, so maybe that's my problem. And then we don't like the tight end. They have the Croft Hooper combination. It's okay. Yeah. And to be honest with you, it could win you weeks, but are they going to pick the right one each week? Who knows? So, but again, I think this team's on the rise, 6-7. I think that's an improvement from last year. I don't memorize the standings, but I think that's an improvement from last year. So I think this team is definitely on the rise.
No, I agree. And Crowell is not he's not great in our format, but he's a good bench guy for this team, and I agree with the team on the upswing.
All right. So where should we go next? I mean, I don't want to keep this going. So, but we talked about all the play. I think we talked about all the playoffs. You want to get into this week?
Sure.
All right. So let's click on this week, and we're going to start on the other matchup, not our matchup. Let's start on this week and go to the Jazz Hole. And I already forgot, it still hasn't loaded yet. Jazz Hole Jugs. That's who I forgot.
Yep.
So let's go to the Jazz Hole Jugs. The projection is Jazz Hole 118, Jugs 100. So it's basically saying a comfortable lead. And to be honest with you, without even looking at the matchups, that's how I probably would have thought it. 15 to 20 point win for Jazz Hole without looking at the matchups. But I know the Jugs have a solid team. I do want to talk about them since we haven't talked about them that much yet. I mean, right at the top, Russell Wilson and Le'Veon Bell. Russell Wilson's the top scoring quarterback in the league, and we all know what Le'Veon Bell can do. So you have that as your 1-2 at the top of your lineup. You're starting off in a pretty good place, don't you think?
You froze.
Oh, I froze?
Yeah, now it's back.
Okay, sorry. Let me go through. Hopefully, I don't know if everybody else heard that, but I'm going to start again. So we're talking about Jugs, Jazz Hole. I was starting on the Jugs side. I'm like, if you start with Russell Wilson, the top scoring quarterback to date in fantasy, and you add Le'Veon Bell, that's not a bad place to start, right, Berto?
No, look, you got 2 studs there at the top, and honestly, Le'Veon Bell versus Kareem Hunt. If you look at in this matchup, you want Le'Veon Bell every day of the week now. And you may not have said that 6 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago, but now Le'Veon Bell looks great, and Kareem Hunt has
Whoa! I don't know if I'm ever not taking Le'Veon Bell over Kareem Hunt. Even in week 4 when Kareem Hunt was going nuts, I'm still taking Le'Veon Bell in my DraftKings. I don't think I was taking Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt was playing better, though.
He was, but I wasn't taking him. I wasn't going into the week thinking he was going to continue to do better than Le'Veon Bell.
No, I'm just comparing the two. You got what I'm getting at is if you had Kareem Hunt the way he was playing at the beginning of the season, you would have been like, damn, this is, he may have a little bit of an edge on Le'Veon Bell. Now, I think the way Kareem Hunt is playing, it's a substantial for your number one running back, your number one guy there. It's a substantial difference right now the way they're playing between Bell and Hunt.
No, I agree. I do want to get in, and I don't understand it. I have him on a team, a different league, so we won't talk about that. But Doug Martin, are you kidding? Like, what? Why does he suck? Like, I don't understand it because I think Schwab has him penciled in as an every week starter, and I'm looking at his bench. I'm trying to figure out, like, I don't think there's anyone else he has that. Well, no, he has Mixon, who I would have started if he didn't have a concussion.
He had Mixon in last week.
So if Mixon somehow can start and he puts Mixon in, I love Mixon way more than Martin. So that's a big hurt for Schwab losing Mixon. I think you're losing him in the league as well. So it's tough.
So, Doug Martin is just, I don't know. He just hasn't gotten it done. He had the.
But is he the number 3 back in Tampa now? Because Peyton Barber was getting carries. You got Jaquez Rogers. You got Charles.
Well, he was hurt. So Doug Martin was hurt. He was out last week. He had a concussion. That's why those guys are getting the carries.
But I'm saying, is Doug Martin automatically penciled in after what Peyton Barber did last week? I don't know.
I think he may lose some carries, but if he's back and healthy, I think they're going to give him. He may not get as many carries, but I think he's still the number 1 guy there.
Okay. I do like Marquise Lee, and I love Tate. I think he's great. I think Tampa and Detroit, I think that's going to be a high-scoring game, so I think Tate's going to put up some points. So he's got actually, before I go on, what do you think of those guys, Lee and Tate?
I have Marcus Lee in another league. He's been pretty good. He hasn't been he's getting in the end zone here and there, and he's certainly been decent. I mean, if you look at this, and Golden Tate's been good. Name recognition certainly, like we said before, is Evans and Michael Thomas, right? But I don't think the way they're playing and the way Golden Tate and Marquise Lee are playing right now, there's that much of a drop off. I think it's pretty close between the 1-2s there. So name recognition, yeah, you're going to take Mike Evans and Michael Thomas every day, but Tampa Bay is Mike Evans is not having.
Mike Evans is not Mike Evans. I mean, the stats prove it. I saw a stat either today or yesterday. Mike Evans has been outscored by Greg Zuerlein. Yeah, you took Mike Evans in the 2nd round, and Greg Zuerlein wasn't drafted as a kicker. So yeah, it just shows how poor Mike Evans has been. Now, right. I don't want to ever point out or make lineup decisions for people, but I have to start Hunter Henry over Jack Doyle.
I agree with that.
I mean, I assume Schwab maybe is looking at these point projections. I don't know, but Hunter Henry just is so much more involved, I feel like, than Doyle. And again, I could be wrong. Doyle could score 3 touchdowns this week, so I don't want to sway Schwab, but
I was watching some of that San Diego game, and granted they were playing the Browns, so we'll put that in context. But Jack Doyle had 16 yards last week, and Hunter Henry was getting a lot of. I don't know how many yards he had.
He's getting the looks. He's getting the looks.
But he's getting looks, and he had a bunch of catches, and Hunter Henry is good. That's one guy who's disappointed this year. He has not lived up to, I thought he would be even better than he had been. Gates is still kind of lingering around.
Yeah, the Gates thing at the beginning of the season, they were trying to get him that record. It really threw things off.
So
I really do think that set Hunter Henry back.
Yeah, I thought Hunter Henry was going to have a better season, but yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be.
I like Stills. I don't like Amendola that much. Does he have someone on the bench? No, I don't like Macklin either. But I like James. I think I like James White more than Amendola, to be honest with you. But
yeah, he's got some. Yeah, James White. He's got some decisions here. Yeah, you can't really play Powell, although that's an option too. He scored. He's got some options there, but certainly Mixon being out, hurts him.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I like Powell over Amendola as well in the flex. And we talked about Jazz Hall.
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be closer. Well, we'll talk about Jassel here too, but I think it's going to be tighter than maybe we think.
Yeah, we all know that these playoff matchups are going to be. There's no way it's. I don't want to say no way, but I doubt it's going to be the 20-point spread or 18-point spread they're showing here. I hope Jassel has to sweat it out more than that, and I'm sure the Jugs are going to give him a fight. But I think favorite-wise, I think it is Jassel. I think we talked about it earlier. He's already got Ricky Seals-Jones in for Ertz, so I don't think he's expecting Ertz to play.
No.
I mean, some of these people he has on his bench, though, the team, the depth. I think part of Jassel's problem is he's got such a good team. He could potentially pick the wrong guy. Like, is it crazy to bench Evans? Like we've been talking. Like, I don't love Evans, but then again, who am I going to start? Cooper? No, probably not. But I mean, he can't feel great about Evans. Normally, you would. Normally, he's a top 5 wide receiver. So.
Oh yeah, I think you got to ride him. They're playing Detroit.
Winston is back.
Yeah, Winston's back. There should be some points put up in that game. I think the guy that, which I'm a little pissed I didn't get this guy when I was sitting on that number 1 waiver pick, is Mike Davis.
Who's that?
So
who? I missed you.
Mike Davis.
Yes, I thought that was a very, very shrewd waiver wire pickup. To be honest with you, we talked about it on text, so I was surprised you didn't do it.
I know. I didn't pull the trigger. He was hurt. He had a groin injury. At that point, it looked like he had a couple weeks out. I should have, because that's
what happened. That tweet during the game. I remember texting you and Josh about that. You're like, I think I'm going to use the number 1 pick unless something happens, and then he hurt his groin, and you didn't use it, and Cody did. So.
I'm happy I did pick him up in other leagues, but yeah, not there. And I had that pick, number 1 waiver, and then I didn't use it. And anyway, but that's a guy, potentially putting him in the lineup. I would look at him, frankly, maybe over Dion Lewis. I don't think you can bench. Yeah, like we said, I don't think you can bench Mike Evans, but the change I would potentially make would be Mike Evans over Dion Lewis. He's getting the ball. Jacksonville has a pretty stingy secondary. I think Seattle is going to run the ball quite a bit.
Wait. He's got both of them in the starting lineup. So who are you putting in instead? I'm confused.
I'm putting Mike Davis in for Dion Lewis.
Oh, okay. There you go. Oh, I thought you said Mike Evans. Mike Davis. Okay. All right. Yeah. I see. Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, Dion Lewis, though, has been consistent and been pretty darn good. So I agree, and I think Cody probably will hear this podcast and might think about it, but I won't argue with him either way. I think it's a gut call.
Yeah.
I do think that Mike Davis is guaranteed more touches than Dion Lewis is. I do think that New England will score more points than Seattle, though. So it becomes like who's going to get in the end zone, and then it becomes like a little who do you like more kind of thing. So I agree with your argument. I think that could potentially be a switch that he's thinking about, but I don't think he can go wrong either way. But we'll find out soon enough.
And it's potential with. It's a fair point because with Gronk out, you never know what I learned a lesson this year again about New England backfield, and I was all pumped about Gillislee. It's just you can't trust the New England backfield. Rex Burkhead looks great right now, though. But they've all gone through, and James White has looked good, or Dion Lewis is in the game, or whatever. But with Gronkowski out, who knows what's going to happen? They could be, putting Dion Lewis in there. He could be catching a bunch of balls. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen week to week. That's somewhat frustrating about New England, unless you have Brady, Gronkowski, or Gostkowski.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of kickers, since you happen to hit on the kicker there, I mentioned Zerline averaging 15 points a game.
That's great.
A weapon for Jassal. And he did pick up the Packers this week, and they're playing Cleveland, one of the worst fucking offenses in the league. So, again, Cody, I think you said it well one week, a few weeks ago. Who the hell let this guy in the league? He knows what he's doing. He's not fucking around. He's going for it. He's got a team stacked up. You better try to beat him because he's going to try to beat you. So
here's what Cody did.
Taking this game, though, I'm going to call it 128-113 Jassal.
I think it's going to be a little closer. I'm going to go 120-115.
All right, so you got it at 5, but you still have Jassal winning.
Yeah, but just to go back to Cody for a second. So Cody came into the league. He looked at how things are working, what the lineups are, how the draft is working. He made all that, and he came up with a plan as to what he wanted to do over the next couple of years, and he's executing it. So, I mean, kudos to Cody. I lost Dave. Talk to myself. Are you taking a pee? Yeah.
I'm pissing. Hold
on. For our viewing audience, Dave apparently went to the bathroom. So anyhow, Cody, I hope you watch this and comment on all the praise and love I give you for your management of this team. So great work.
Sorry, that had to happen. I couldn't concentrate. Sorry about that. Oh my God, that was tough. I was like dancing in my chair over here.
No worries.
Sorry about that. Little podcast poor etiquette there, but all right. So
should we go on to our matchup?
Yeah, let's go to our matchup because I think it's pretty interesting. I think there's a lot to talk about here. Unfortunately for me, it's not looking pretty. Let's start on your side just because you're on the left, for me at least. I'm looking at the lineup. It seems to me when I look at your bench and your lineup, you got the right guys in there. I mean, some great guys. Let's not be crazy here. I'm amazed that you were 7-6 for the season. I don't know how it all worked out. I didn't go back and look at each matchup, but obviously the Rodgers loss killed you. I mean, you can't lose a guy like Rodgers and expect that you're going to be the same team. He can kind of carry a week. You got Ryan, you got McCown. I've talked to you about it via text a few times, and I've disagreed with the Ryan choice. I think you've stuck with Ryan, I think, every week. Are you questioning it? Are you questioning it this week, or are you not questioning it?
I don't know. No, I'm going to stick with him, I think. Thursday night game, pause for concern there. Years past, you're going against the Saints, you would be like, giddy up.
But again, I think that is going to be a high-scoring game if that leads into anything. Like, I think you're going to have to score. Those teams are going to have to score in the late high 20s, if not 30s, to probably win that game.
Right. But my point was, in years past, anytime you're going against the Saints, it
was a gimme. Yeah, you started your quarterback. Yep.
Right. Your quarterback is going to put up points against the Saints, but it's not quite that way this year. So it's a different different approach. But I do think that, I think, they'll put up some points. It's been, pretty disappointing. I've considered McCown. I don't think I'm going to do it this week. I think I'm going to stick with Ryan. Just what you said. I do think they're going to put up some points, but certainly not as juicy as that matchup would have been, last year or years past.
Yeah, but in the Dome, those teams, they're going to have to score. Like Atlanta is going to have to score.
Yep.
The one problem I've seen with your team, and I think Josh and I mentioned it, there is too much Atlanta on your team, though. You got Ryan, Freeman, and Jones. Like they would all if they all go off, I'm losing. The Maulers are losing immediately. If Atlanta goes off and those guys, and Ryan throws 2 touchdowns to Jones and Freeman runs it in twice, the Maulers are done. If that doesn't happen, though, I think the Maulers have a good chance because you're so dependent on that game.
Yeah. So
and again, I don't know how you change that. I think next year you might look to move one of those guys just to then not have that.
I have Aaron Rodgers back. Don't forget.
True. You don't have Ryan.
So,
very well. You could actually have him back if you beat me. You could actually have him back next week, from what I'm hearing. So
I was
very valid point there.
So I was forced into that with the Rodgers injury. But I've had Devontae Freeman and Julio Jones on the team for years, and that part is not an issue. They
can score independently, absolutely.
Sure, but this team looks a lot better with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, for sure.
And again, we talked about that. I mean, you don't have the depth that you have, but losing Rodgers. I mean, throwing Rodgers into this lineup right now, you're already forecasted up 8. Yes, I don't have a tight end yet, but even if I add a tight end now, it's probably 4 points, so you're still ahead. If you add Rodgers, you're probably ahead by 15 to 20.
Yeah.
So, I mean –
Travis Kelce's been great. Frankly, Julio Jones has been, he has not had the same type of year he had last year. Kelce's been fantastic. Des Bryant's been disappointing. Stephon Diggs started off hot, and he kind of trailed off.
I love the Alex Collins pickup, by the way. That was one of your best pickups, I think, of the year. I think that was really, really good when you picked him up. I wanted him. You had a higher priority that week. You got him.
Yeah.
I got him in a few other leagues.
Good. Yeah, and he's been a bright spot for sure.
I mean, he's getting 20 touches a game, and he's getting goal line carries. So, I mean –
And Latavius Murray, he's been good as well.
Absolutely. Latavius Murray, another – I think you got him in a trade with the Nates, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. I believe that was the Nates.
Yeah,
Latavius.
This is definitely not the best team.
And I got Stephon Diggs from the Sharks.
Yeah. This is definitely not the best team that you're going to the playoffs with, but I think you said it well today that you have a lot of fight left, and yet I am scared of this left-hand side, or at least for me, it's the left-hand side of the screen. It's a good team. The Chargers, I think, everyone wants to ignore defense. I think they're going to have a great week. They've been putting up numbers left and right. And like we said, that New Orleans Atlanta game is going to be high scoring. I think Lutz is going to score a lot of points. So I'm going into it very fearful, let's say.
Yeah, and just speaking of the Chargers defense, that was what I spent my number 1 pick on, unfortunately.
That's right. That's a good point. Josh pointed that out as a good move that you did that.
Yeah,
I found that interesting only for the fact that I don't know if anyone else is going to pick them up anyway, so you probably could have stayed at that number 1 spot. But I do like the move because it is, in my mind, the number 1 probably defense that you could have, except for the defense I picked up this week, which is the Bengals. I see ranked higher than the Chargers this week, but
yeah, no, it was about last week though, right? So playing the Browns, and they just didn't get it done against the Browns. It was, their projection was like 20 points against the Browns, and it didn't happen. But So my point is, it was anticlimactic that I waited all of those weeks to not spend that number one waiver pick, not get a guy like Mike Davis. There's not a lot of other options, but Mike Davis, maybe there was another guy here or there, but that's the big one that sticks in my craw that I didn't pick up.
All right, so let's move over to my side. I got the Alex Smith Roethlisberger decision. I'm going Smith right now. I could potentially change that, but I think I'm leaning Smith.
I think that's a smart play against Oakland for sure. That secondary is no good.
I know, and especially since Roethlisberger is facing Baltimore, in my head, tougher defenses from what I know. I definitely have some concerns, though. Let me go through what I think, and then you could obviously add on and pile on. But Jordan Howard has been a little disappointing. I can't believe that they can't even throw him even one pass a game. Like, he's literally not involved. So he's basically a first and second down back. So that obviously unless they get goal line carries or he breaks off a big run, it kind of eliminates him from having big games. So that's very concerning to me. I'm not really scared for McCoy. I like McCoy, especially against Indianapolis. I think that's a great matchup.
Yep. I
like Crabtree. Thomas, my God, it's a dumpster fire at quarterback in Denver. Hopefully Simeon can get him some balls and do something. We talked about it already. I don't even have a fucking tight end. I have to pick up a tight end. Oh, I do want to mention it. I sent you a text today, and yes. I think you laughed about it. You picked up Steven Anderson. I think it was a cock block dick move that I love. But cock block dick move that I love fantasy-wise. As a friend, I fucking think it's a dick move. As a fantasy move, I think it was good. I wasn't going to pick up Steven Anderson anyway, but I think it was a great cock block, dick move, fantasy-wise, so I love it.
So here's my thought process on that. I was just poking around today, and, Steven Anderson, I knew Fedorowicz and the other tight end's name, I'm forgetting. I knew they were both hurt and placed on IR. And I'm like, oh, shit, this guy had a touchdown at 80 yards. I'm like, maybe this is a guy Dave would pick up. Let me just add him. He's got some talent. I think if I hadn't researched him and spent like the 10 minutes actually digging into it a little bit, I wouldn't have picked him up. But I think when I was that invested, and then if I hadn't picked him up and then you hadn't picked him up and he had scored against me, I would have been pissed off. So I said, you know what? Let me just dump whoever Lockett.
And I do want to get to that. Because you kind of brushed past that. And I think when people hear this podcast or when they saw that happen, I don't know how Josh, to be honest with you, is not picking up Lockett on Friday morning. Josh better have a fucking waiver claim in for Lockett right now, because Lockett is probably the best wide receiver that Josh would have on his team.
Yeah, that could be. But I think there's probably people out on the waiver wire, too, that are better receivers than Josh has on.
Okay, fair enough. But what I was saying is, I love the cock block move. I love true. I know you're a true fantasy player, and I saw the move. I had to text you. I had to be like, dick move. I had to say it. But I love the move. I wasn't gonna pick up that guy. I really wasn't. Honestly, to God, I was not gonna pick him up. But I love the move. And then I love 2 hours later or 3 hours later. Who else am I gonna pick up at time? As long as you don't do them.
What other bottom of the roster guys can I dump to pick up tight ends?
But my goal is to pick up someone before Saturday, because if you pick up and drop every tight end, then I won't have anyone left. I really hope you won't do that. To be honest with you, I don't know who to pick up. It's going to be a crapshoot. I'm going to get a gut feel on probably Friday, Saturday morning, and to be like, I'm going to take this guy because they're all shit. Yeah. They're all a pile of shit compared to Gronk. And I'm going to get a gut feel and say, I want this guy and whatever. Maybe Steven Anderson would have been that guy, but I didn't want to pick him up early. I don't know. Who the hell knows who's going to be the right guy? So
I just did it, and I was giggling to myself as I did it because
Yeah, I know you did because you were doing the dick cock block move. I love it. I love it. I love the cock block move.
Again, if I hadn't picked him up when I was researching him, and you had picked him up and he'd scored, I would have been livid. So
no, but you know what? I really respect that. You did research. You're like, wait, I might pick this guy up if I was Dave. So I'm just going to pick him up and not let Dave pick him up. To be honest with you, that is good fantasy play. That's how people should learn. Block your opponent from picking the guy up. That's what Berto knows how to do. He's played for a while. He's figured it out. You block the guy. And again, maybe that's not the guy I was going to pick up, but maybe it is the guy I was going to pick up, and it fucked me. And maybe that's a bad example because it's a weird tight end thing, but block your opponent. Pick up the guy that your opponent wants to get and don't let him get him. So I just want to teach. I just want to teach. Sometimes there's teaching moments where Berto, I mean, you've been playing for years. A lot of guys wouldn't have done that. You know what? You're like, you know what? Dave could beat me with this guy.
Yes.
I've done research. This guy, he scored some point. I'm going to block
Dave. He had like 16 points last week, 18 points.
So if Dave gets 16 points from this guy this week, he's probably going to beat me with him because it's almost going to replace Gronk. I'm gonna take him away from him. That is a great fantasy move, and that's what we all should be going for.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and it did amuse me too. So.
It did amuse me as well. So, and again, I also just heard. Sorry. Before the podcast, Ingram somehow has a fucking injured toe, so I might lose Ingram too. So I don't feel very good about, like, literally I'm at 70 you, 30 me. If we're calling this game right now with the Gronk and now the Ingram thing, I'm in trouble.
Well, the Ingram thing
doesn't go off. If Howard has a mediocre day, I am in a lot of trouble.
Well, the whole Ingram thing, your issue with Ingram is that he's playing. That's a Thursday game, so I think he's trending towards doubtful.
Yeah, and again, I don't know. Let me scroll down to my own team because I don't even know who the hell I would put in. I guess I would put in freaking Woodhead. I don't know, but
Austin Eckler, possibility. Josh Doxson. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I do like Doxson. You're right. I gotta put a reminder on my calendar. So wait, that game is freaking tomorrow.
I think there's gonna be some points in that game. Doxson, I think, is your guy.
So wait, I just realized something. I gotta put a reminder on my calendar. I forgot that game was tomorrow night. I thought I had until Sunday to make that decision.
Yes, so you got to get him, and AP is probably not, AP probably won't play either. I mean, all you need to do is just get him out of there if he's not going to play, and then you can make your decision on Sunday. But
sorry, I got to put this in. That is not going to be good, dude. I think that actually will be the nail in the coffin. I can't lose Gronk, and if I lose Gronk and Ingram, I think it's 95% win. You're going to win this game. Like, there's no way I don't think I can recover from that. Like, I'm already down. I'm already down. I'm already down. There's no way.
So. There's so many variables in this game. I mean, Alex Smith, Matt Ryan, that's a big one. I need Matt Ryan to do something. If he has a good game, Devontae Freeman, you're like you said, my Falcons do something, then
it's all going to come down. It's going to come down again. Let's say I can't even say hopefully. It's going to come down to touchdowns for us because I think the yardage, when I look at these players, is probably going to be pretty similar. Probably catches even pretty similar. Even the quarterback play pretty similar.
Yeah, and the other thing
It's gonna come down to who gets the touch. Like as touchdowns happen, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna win this week. If I get touchdowns, you're gonna be like, Dave's gonna win this week.
So here's the thing: if Matt Ryan is throwing the ball to Julio Jones and he's scoring, and Freeman,
if they have a big night, if they have a big night on Thursday night, I am absolutely done.
But the other thing too is you got Alex Smith throwing to Travis Kelce. So Travis Kelce, blew up last week. If he, even he had 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's going to neutralize Alex Smith if those touchdowns are going to Travis Kelce, which is not good for you.
But if it doesn't neutralize it, because Alex Smith had 40 points and Kelce had 20. So I mean, it doesn't necessarily neutralize them, but just takes away from it a little bit.
Right, that's a big hit, though. My point is, if the touchdowns are going to Travis Kelce, that's a big mark in my favor.
All right. Well, I'm going to root for Atlanta field goals instead of touchdowns, and then Matt Ryan's going to go nuts.
Right, you got Matt Ryan.
And I still think the Bengals are going to somehow score a ton of points too. Honestly, if Ingram doesn't play, I'm done. I can't have not Gronk and Ingram. You have to admit, no Gronk, no Ingram, done.
So, all right. So I have Lutz tomorrow. You have Bryant. So we'll say the kickers cancel each other out. Who knows? But then beyond that, what do I need to put up tomorrow to be in good shape? I need to put up like 50 points.
Yeah. If you don't put up 50 tomorrow,
that would be disappointing.
But again,
no, more than I would say 60 with the kicker, 60-10.
No, well, the projections say 17.
Yeah.
14, so that's the 31.
Yeah.
45. 45. You need to put up 52.
So
52. If you were up 52-10, you're basically on the projection. So you're saying you probably want to be above the projection. So
I want to be above that. 60-10.
Yeah. 50-10 would be at projection. 60-10 would be
0.46.
All right. So wait, did we not cover the other game? What is the other game? No, we did cover.
No, we did.
All right. So I think we have done a good job.
Yeah.
All right. So Berto, I really, really appreciate you joining on the podcast.
Back to the bar for you.
It is probably going to be back to the bar, back to the hotel bar here. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, and I really appreciate it. And good luck this week. I mean, obviously, I hope I win, but we're playing each other, so I'm sure you hope you win.
Yeah. So good luck, and pleasure to be on tonight, and best of luck to all the playoff teams.
Yes, absolutely. All right, guys. Have a good week.
All right, Dave.